Well, now this disgraced Maine Senate candidate, Graham Platner, plans formally to leave the race this Monday. The official deadline is 5 p.m. on that day. Ben Domenech joins me now. Ben, there's still a question of whether or not he may decide at the last minute to say, nah, I think I'm going to stay. What do you think is going to happen?
Look, I think that he's already telegraphed that he is going to get out, but I mean, there's always a chance, David, and it's one of these situations where I have said consistently that I feel like Graham Platner in this situation is essentially choosing to end his political career for not a lot being guaranteed to him in terms of a future of relevance within the Democratic coalition. He's someone who was, highlighted and applauded by so many different people across the left, viewed as someone who could represent kind of a masculine, strong version of the DSA approach to politics. And then, of course, it all blew up in their face. The problem for them right now, of course, is that Platner has become someone who is kind of a symbol of the Democratic establishment coming down like a hammer on these radical leftists. And the fact that he's being pushed out at a point where, at least according to most polling that we see, that he is behind by single digits to Susan Collins in a wave year blue wave election potentially. That's something that I think is going to stick in the craw of a lot of these people who believe that they should have stuck by him as opposed to casting him aside.
Well, and it's not very democratic. I mean, the namesake of the Democratic Party is we go for what the people want. The people wanted Platner. The people wanted, a whole bunch of people before they were given what they wanted. Even Bernie Sanders. I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders, but remember, it started with him.
Yeah, and it's the same people who forced Kamala Harris on the Democratic Party when Joe Biden was clearly going to be a weaker candidate. All they care about is trying to get someone across the finish line. And in this case, I think that ultimately the real question that emerges from this is how mad is the radical left, which is the animating force of the Democratic Party at this moment.
Well, the New York Post is reporting on one person who's mad, and that's a top advisor to Platner. He's also a top advisor to Mamdani. He's a 27-year-old guy. What's his name again? Morris Katz is his name.
Yes.
And essentially, he was for Platner because he was against, AOC was not far enough to the left for him. So he was thinking that Platner might be the solution for 2028 when AOC wanted to get in because she wasn't radical enough. He wanted Platner in. What do people like? I mean, he's very influential among the left wing of the Democratic Party now. Where does he go?
Well, here's the thing that I think viewers need to understand. What happened with AOC kind of spawned this whole activist group that didn't really exist in the past, a DSA associated group, socialists who are now have learned the tools of activism, have deployed them quite effectively, especially when it comes to social media. They got Mamdani elected. They got Platner at least the nomination. They're trying to do the same thing when it comes to El Sayed in Michigan.
Yeah.
They believe that they are the activating force of the Democratic Party, and they're going up against an octogenarian establishment that no longer has the power that it did under Nancy Pelosi. I think they're right. I think that they're people who really understand we are where the base of this party, the animating force of these younger voters in the Democratic coalition really are. And they're spouting, of course, nonsense, craziness, anti-capitalist BS. Things that I think are completely at odds with everything we learned from history, but they are selling it very effectively.
Yeah.
People are listening, and Republicans need to wake up. This is a real threat to the country.
Well, by the way, they may say they're anti-capitalist, but they like the high life. And there was another New York Post piece
out. A
lot
of champagne socialists in this group, David.
Well, very strange that this guy, Morris Katz, who was so influential in the Platner campaign, and Platner campaign brought in well over $10 million, a lot of money. He is missing from the campaign's consultant payroll, which is a very odd thing. I mean, it makes you wonder whether there was sort of like a redux of the Kamala Harris campaign where a lot of money just disappeared.
There's a lot of good money in fighting against capitalism, David. Maybe someday you'll take it up yourself. But I'm telling you, you could really make a nice, tidy profit doing it. And look, there's a reason that Bernie Sanders has as many houses as he does.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and won't that be what comes back to bite them? I mean, all of these stories are coming out. It's just too obvious to ignore at this point of
Look,
how
so many
much
of
they
these
like the
people are
rich life.
so many of these people are the heirs of this fortune or that fortune, or have real estate mogul parents or something like this.
Yeah,
A lot of this has to do with mommy and daddy issues, people who basically are rejecting the way that their parents earned their money, but they still want to live the life that they get from all of that money. And that's something that I think we see consistently when it comes to these types of folks on the left. And everyone in the activist class, they're willing to turn the other way
yeah.
currently, but ultimately I think it is going to be something that comes back to bite them in the
Well, a
future.
lot of these people grew up in the expansion of the welfare state in the United States. The people think they deserve to have free everything, whether it's free food, free housing, et cetera. And it just, as we're finding out, it just ain't possible, folks. Ben, we got to leave it at that. Great to see you. Best to your family.
Great to be
Thank
with
you
you.
very much.